Welcome to the full experience, aka Spoilerin time. We are about to finish off with the last in the full, first, ultimate, lowest, last, and our last episode of $6 Million Man is episode 21, season 5. A tearful farewell to the series called The Moving Mountain. Brian, what did you expect when you saw the title before you read the description of The Moving Mountain episode?
Well, I was hoping that I would be moved and that I would see a mountain. Neither of those happened. But then once I learned...
That's a good point. There wasn't even a mountain, was there?
Once I learned that the moving mountain was an incredible tank, I thought, oh, I bet it's made of metal. But my keen eyes were able to tell that it was green painted plywood.
And hay at one point, covered in hay.
Correct. Tom, this full experience did not age very well. I have fonder memories than like we had a good time watching the majority of Miami Vice. I tolerated the $6 Million Man, which is astonishing to me, given how much I loved it in the late 70s.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's kind of amazing that the nostalgia bump that you got was really, for me, only present in the opening credits in this last episode.
I did watch the opening credits every single time.
Yeah, me too. I was like, no, don't skip. This is the good part. We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
But it's like keep in mind, we only watched 4 episodes, Tom, but by the end, every time he jumps up, I stopped hearing whatever actual Foley work was being done, and instead I just heard a slide whistle as he jumped up.
And also, I mean, again, we're getting the full experience, but we're not watching every episode. They don't use his bionics more than 2 or 3 times an episode from what we saw.
They got right to it. Like in the first 30 seconds of this episode, they're all like, yeah, do the do. You got one good arm. There was also or one good eye. There was also that moment she had like a poison ring, and I remember thinking like, she hits him in the arm and he goes down, and I'm like, is that the bionic arm? No. And I had to like think a bit about which one was which, because he's got 2 bionic legs, 1 bionic arm,
so much
one
better if she'd have
bionic
done
arm.
that, and it was like,
And it was the wrong arm. Wrong arm, lady.
You hear a ding. Yeah. The other thing was when he used his bionic eye to spy a matchbook.
And then
Something
later,
no detective could have done otherwise.
And then later, find the match in the fire pit. Look, I would imagine that this episode maybe had some cultural cachet at the peak of the Cold War, but it just felt weak. It felt phoned in. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I am aware that I have put on 20 pounds over the last year.
Oh, wow.
So did Lee Majors.
I see where you're going with this. Yeah, he was bulked up. Yeah.
He was a little THICC.
Maybe they put on some extra bionics, Brian. Did you think of that?
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
Also, last time I checked, a Russian accent didn't sound like Panamanian accents.
What was with General Norbukov's ever-moving accent? Lisa Farringer, who played Andrea Mostrova, just sort of had a bad Russian accent, but it was fairly consistent, I thought. Whereas John Colicos, who played the general, he sounded like a British general, and then later Panamanian, like he said, and it just kind of ranged all over the place.
There was, I'm not going to say that you, Tom, encouraged me to do house chores while watching this, but at some point I was like, is that Ricardo Montalban?
Hold on. Yes, I did note in the great cycle of fashion that Lee Majors or Steve Austin wearing puffy sweater vests, puffy, the just like he's a startup CEO in Silicon Valley. It struck me as current rather than dated because those are back in style right now.
Well, and oh my goodness, like by the end, just it. All of the B cast seemed very bored with this show. like Steve Austin's boss is just like, oh Christ, we got to do this again.
Well, I guess this is the last one, so I might as well say my lines. I'm Richard Anderson. The couple of interesting notes in the plot. Steve Austin once says, "There's nothing in this valley except some houses for the peasants who work the hotel grounds." To the Soviet chick, he says this.
Well, yeah, she knows the score. But
I mean, he's calling it's like, there's nothing here. Well, except for houses actual working people live in. That struck me as odd. But not as odd as the Scooby-Doo net that they used.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought that up. I forgot that the late 70s were made of two elements, quicksand and Scooby-Doo nets. If a net fell on you, you were out. That's it.
You're incapacitated. Yeah. There's no getting away from a net, for goodness sake. That's how you captured Santos. Not with bionic strength. Just throw a net on him and you're all done. I'll give this episode lower expectations and say I honestly didn't expect the twist of General Norbakov being the one who was paying Santos, because I didn't think this episode was that sophisticated.
Yeah, so you were surprised that the Russian was the bad guy.
I mean, I wasn't really, but I was like, oh, wow, they actually decided to do a twist. At least they made that much effort. So I did actually like the exchange of insults between Mastrova and Steve Austin. Well, you capitalist swine. Oh, that was cute.
That was definitely quaint.
Yeah.
I guess we have to team up. We call you this, that kind of thing.
I kept trying to find anything on Lisa Farringer, who played Andrea Mastrova, and all I could find were her credits up until 1980 and an image of her wanted for being a witness to a murder.
Huh.
So if anybody knows the story of Lisa Farringer, she was mostly known for being in blaxploitation flicks.
Man, this almost makes me uncomfortable, because it sounds to me like from the short portrait you've sketched out, she is yet another of like peak Hollywood hunger engine for starlets that,
possibly. I mean, she was not murdered. She's still alive, actually.
Right. But obviously she was given a feature role. Like, more people have seen her than have seen you and me put together.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
The pressures that come with that in peak Hollywood. I'm not a fan of the ethics of Hollywood.
Yeah, I've heard you say this before. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. Also, definitely from the time when shows just got canceled, even if they were real popular, which $6 Million Man was, because this was not a goodbye. This was not a touching farewell. This didn't resolve the story. It was like, well, Bionic Woman's still on the air, so go watch that now.
Wait, so how much longer did Bionic Woman run?
Ooh, good question. This episode aired March 6th, 1978, which is a little bit early for a final episode, to be honest. When did the last Bionic Woman episode air? I will tell you momentarily. Bionic Woman had 3 seasons, and the finale aired on May 13th, 1978. So they both ended the same year.
Okay.
But they kept Bionic Woman. They overlapped. They had $6 Million Man end in March, and they had Bionic Woman end in May.
You know what they figured out after that? They're all like, hey, what if they weren't people with only one type of upgrade? What if it was a car that we could keep upgrading every season forever and ever and ever?
Yeah.
Smash cut to Knight Rider.
Knight Rider. Yeah. Put it on the list, folks. So there you go. That's $6 Million Man, The Moving Mountain, Season 5, Episode 21. Our most disappointing last episode of the full experiences we've done so far, I have to say.
Was there an episode that we really, really loved in this whole series?
Oh, good question. Might be the most disappointing entire watch.
Yeah,
right.
I think so. Now keep in mind we gave it an unfair trial because we skipped the
I actually liked the Bionic Woman
movie.
Crossover. I didn't love it, but I liked it. It was fun.
I would agree. That was the best of that. But boy, oh boy, did it not hold up like I had hoped.
Yeah.
But then again, it was the proto of the same formula that would live on through the Incredible Hulk and Knight Rider and the A-Team and all of those.
And Paulus points out that they did do movies, made-for-TV movies of the Bionic Man, Bionic Woman later. I don't know if that was why they didn't do a more, touching goodbye, because shows just did this back then. They just went off the air and that was it. So it may be that, they were thinking about doing reunion movies or not. It's hard to say.
Yeah. All
right. That is it for the $6 Million Man. Our next full experience will be Battlestar Galactica, the 2000s reboot of Battlestar Galactica. We will not, on the $6 Million Man precedent, we will not include the miniseries that was made that led up to the main series. We will start with episode 1 of season 1. The episode is called 33.
Which by the way is the way I encountered it the very first time. And
same.
So I will vouch that 33 stands on its own two legs. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we will go into the ultimate episode, Crossroads Part 2, which is season 3, episode 20. Black Market is the lowest rated episode, season 2, episode 14. And of course, the last episode, Daybreak Part 3. We'll sort of leave it open if people want to watch parts 1 and 2 as well, but we will only require Daybreak Part 3, season 4, episode 21. So there you go. That's our next full experience. You get these early if you are a supporter on Patreon. So go check us out, patreon.com/Cordkillers, and we'll spoil you again next time.